You can't shortcut your way to success, but you can sure as shit accelerate it. One of the reasons why I talk about fitness, I talk about physique, I talk about health and exercise, why the whole concept of chasing greatness is built around this notion of discipline through fitness, is because it's the perfect metaphor for it, as I just described. There are no shortcuts to results. There aren't any shortcuts to massive success, to the things you want out of life. There is just doing the work. It's just showing up. It is going to require effort. It is going to require consistency. It is going to require intensity. And it's probably going to take longer than you think it should. But within that, you can accelerate your results. You can accelerate achieving massive fucking results. And there are different ways that you can do that. You can put in more work than others. You can work harder than others. You can work smarter than others. You can pay people to bypass a lot of the mistakes and jump ahead of the curve. There are lots of ways to achieve the results you want faster. But at the end of the day, bottom line, it is still going to require effort and consistency. You can't shortcut it. You have to do the work. But I think of physique, like a great physique, like someone who's in great fucking shape, especially the older they get and the more responsibilities they have in life, shows that that person has discipline, shows that that person has consistency. They have grit, they have determination, they are reliable, they can show the fuck up over and over and over again and do the work. Because there are no shortcuts to a great physique. And, people will say things like, well, what about steroids and all that kind of stuff? You know what? They're an accelerator. They're not the answer, though. If you took steroids and still did shit all, you're not going to get a great physique. You still have to work hard. You still have to show up consistently. You still have to do the right things. You just get there fucking faster. Same with great genetics. There are people who have great genetics, and you'll see them online. You'll probably know them in real life, who just kind of do work and then bam, they've got great results. But they still did the fucking work. And that's why, as I said, I think a great physique is one of those things that separates people, because it shows commitment and follow through, because there aren't shortcuts, there are just accelerators. Now, when it comes to health and fitness, what are some of those accelerators? As I said, we'll cover the ones that just come through. Consistency, effort, and intensity, especially for a long period of time. But other things that we can accelerate are getting the right fucking program, doing the right things from the get-go. Like I often talk about, I have been working out for 18 years. I'm ashamed to say, for not a large portion, but yeah, maybe a large portion, probably half of that, the shit that I did, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole these days. Because I was still young and naive. I started lifting when I was 15 years old. Back in the days when you got workouts out of fucking magazines, there wasn't really information online. That makes me feel really fucking old, even though I'm not that fucking old. But it's the truth. You had to know someone, and you got advice off the buff dude at the gym, and you just kind of figured the fuck out. And then even, obviously I'm a certified personal trainer, I've done all those kinds of things, I've done the work, I've done that stuff, but even through that, a lot of that stuff is now outdated. A lot of that stuff doesn't work. A lot of the stuff you just learn through trial and fucking error. There is, overarching principles, and then there's learning how to execute properly. I've said many times that a lot of the accelerator is also the ability to show up with intensity. The ability to give it your fucking all. Yeah, you might have a great fucking program, but even now, I am learning that the difference between just doing and working hard and working fucking hard is astronomical. Like, I reckon I've progressed more in the last 6 months than I did in the previous 2 or 3 years, because I ramped up the intensity, and that started with learning how to accelerate through consistency, grit, determination, intensity. And my workouts and my mental toughness improved. So I was able to handle more. So I was able to dig deeper. So I was able to grind out more. I was able to find those extra reps. I was able to push through that pain barrier. I was able to find that next gear. And I see it in the guys I train too. The guys who can not just show up, but show up. Like, show up with such fucking raw intensity. Well, they're the ones who get really, really great results. The ones who are pushing themselves every single day. The ones who are finding another gear. Talk about an accelerator to results. That's what you fucking want. That's what's going to deliver the results you are seeking. Then it comes from that. And then there are other things, like the nuanced things that, well, sometimes you find, sometimes you forget, sometimes you realize later on in life. The one I discovered recently, and there's new studies that have come out to support it, that taking a 50-gram protein shake, 50 grams of protein, before bed promotes protein synthesis while you sleep. It's an interesting one. It's one that has been around for a while, but has often been debunked, that you can't have extra protein synthesis during your sleep. But this study is now suggesting it. In an n=1 situation, I would suggest that seems to be fucking true. Since adding that in, I've seen a good amount of muscle thickness and density from my training and in my physique. Another one is just adding in extra overall protein. So, as you would know if you've watched any of my videos, I believe in an animal-based diet. So, eating-wise, I eat meat, I eat fruit, I eat eggs. That's pretty much it. Occasionally, we'll chuck in some sweet potatoes. Occasionally, there'll be a couple other things, but that's pretty much fucking it. And especially if you're starting out on my program, that's what I've prescribed, and there is no leeway on that. I've reached the point where, I get a little bit more leeway. I'm, 390 days into this process. I get a little bit of leeway. When you begin, you don't. Anyway, especially as we've been progressing, I've been like, I don't think I'm getting enough protein overall. So again, I don't think it's the best option. I'd prefer to find better options. And if I'm being realistic, if eggs weren't so fucking expensive, I'd probably replace them with eggs. But I've been starting the day with 50 grams of 50 gram protein shake before my workout and a 50 gram protein shake post my workout. Again, it made a big difference. Saw better density in the muscles, all these kinds of things. So when we're refining, we're talking about accelerating. We're talking about finding those things that are going to create the results faster, that are going to push you further down the lines. Now, the catch I have with this, when we're talking about there are no shortcuts, you still have to do the work, then most people want to dig into these things, the accelerators, as I call them, first. They're like, what things can I do to accelerate my results? What things can I do to push my results faster? But they're not doing any of the beginning stuff. They're looking at the things to accelerate results without doing, well, the fucking 90% stuff first. It's like, how can I eke out and accelerate this part of my process? Oh, but I'm going to ignore the thing that delivers the majority of it. If you're accelerating from 0 adding 10 miles per hour is not going to make that much difference. But if you're accelerating from 100 miles per hour, yeah, adding the 10 miles per hour is going to make a massive fucking difference. So we need to work on that. We need to work on that kind of stuff first. That's why I spoke about the intensity, the consistency. You need to bang out the basics first. We spoke about them the other day. If you tick off on the box that you do a weighted walk with 10% or more of your body weight every single day, this will cover your cardio. This will cover, some extra fat loss. This will build strength. This will build endurance. It builds mental toughness. It builds grit. It builds determination. Especially if your calves are fucking lagging, it'll build that. It adds all those things that, well, let's be honest here, we're looking for. Then we do a weighted workout. So we're lifting weights every single day. That's building the muscle density. And if you don't know, having more muscle mass will burn more body fat. We need that. It raises your metabolic rate. It increases intensity. It burns calories. All those kinds of things. And as a long-term thing, to make sure you don't end up with fucking saggy skin everywhere and all that kind of shit, it builds muscle in the right areas to build the physique and the shape that you want down the track, especially if you are in the fat loss phase. Next is drinking 4 liters of water. This, in my head, seems like a no-brainer, but it is fucking phenomenal to me how frequently I need to tell people to do this. Water is, should be a non-negotiable. This shouldn't be a discussion that we need to have. This shouldn't be something that we need to talk about. It just should be that we should just be doing this. So 4 liters of water keeps you hydrated, clears everything out. If you're dehydrated, you're not going to function properly, your brain doesn't function as properly, your muscles don't function as properly, all those kinds of things. I've even had people lose weight. The greatest I've ever seen is I had a client who lost 5 kilos just from starting to drink water. It's your best friend. Make sure you fucking drink it. Now, as a caveat, talking about accelerators, one of the things that people don't realize is just because you drink water doesn't mean that you're hydrated. You need to have things that allow you to hydrate. Those things are potassium, sodium, and magnesium. One of the simplest ways to increase your hydration is to get a Celtic sea salt, add a teaspoon of it to about 1 liter of water, and drink that down, especially first thing in the morning. That'll really kickstart your hydration, make you feel better, get your day going, all that kind of stuff. Next, as we discussed previously, was an animal-based diet. So all you're gonna fucking eat is meat, eggs, fruit. And people say, what about carbs? Well, fruit is your carbs. And usually we use that as the way because very fucking rarely have I seen someone drastically overeat on fruit. It gives you a bit of carbs, it gives you the sweet flavor, it deals with a lot of the cravings, but the chances of you hugely fucking overeating on it are pretty fucking minimal. So that's a much better way to do it. And then we just want to slam as much protein in the form of meat as humanly possible. As I said, if you're finding that you're really struggling, adding in a collagen-based protein powder would be my recommendation. I'm currently using the My Protein one. It's decent. It's not the best one on the market, but best bang for your buck kind of thing in terms of cost versus taste and quality that I've found at the moment. There are options on that, but that's where you want to do. Now, ideal ratios without getting into macro counting and weighing out your food and all this kind of stuff, because I think that's fucking ridiculous and it gets into an obsessive nature in the wrong direction. It's why I don't like if it fits your macros. It's why I don't like things like that. And you're just not going to overeat on protein. It's just, if you're just eating meat and shit, you are just not going to overeat on it. It's just not going to happen, despite what people would like to try and convince you. That's not a reality. So go to town on that shit. Just go absolutely ham on that. And the ratios I like to use is ideal is 100 grams of meat for every 10 kilos of body weight. Minimum requirement for me would be 100 grams of meat per 20 kilos of body weight. But yeah, you want to get into it. You want to get stuck in and just hit it hard. As I said, I have never seen anyone overeat on just eating protein. It'll sort your shit out. You'll build muscle, you feel full, you feel amazing, your body functions better, all of the things. And lastly, and then there's a bonus one, is take a daily photo. This holds you accountable. It makes you face the man in the mirror. It makes you remember why you fucking started doing this. And then, on the flip side, when you get down the track and you're like, oh, have I really changed? You can see this collage of this man changing before your eyes. And it's really, really powerful to keep you pushing forward. And then the last one is, well, sleep. We need to talk about getting good fucking quality sleep. That's one of the things that is going to hold you back the most. Now, we talk about grit and mental toughness and determination, and there are areas of that, and we will get deeper into it once you get into chasing greatness, and how sometimes keeping your word is more important than that sleep. But in that initial phases, I find most people's sleep is dog shit. And if we're talking about transforming your physique, we need to start getting you some good fucking sleep. So start working on that. And if you don't know what to start with, reference back, can't remember which day it was. It's about 30 or 40 episodes ago, where across 3 episodes I go real deep into the best ways to improve your sleep. Or get into Chasing Greatness and I'll give you the exact PDF. But these more than anything are accelerators to massive fucking results. Like, I have just given you the ultimate fucking blueprint to, well, transform your entire life. To build an incredible fucking physique. That, more than anything, is going to accelerate you. Now, we could get into stuff which will, if you've mastered that, will accelerate them even more. As I said, about the protein shakes. Or you can do things like bicarb soda and salt before you work out. It increases your endurance. We could talk about things like, how to maximize your sets, how to push in deeper with, cheat reps or stretch sets or isometric holds or, stretching in between exercises, or all these different things that will increase how well you build the muscle, how rapidly, all those kinds of things. But they're 1% accelerators. Right now I want to talk about the, 90% accelerators, the things that are going to take you from 0 to 100, that are going to push you past what you are. But you got to start with the right things. The fastest way to accelerate it is A, do this, or B, just jump into Chasing Greatness. Click the link in my bio. Let's get you in. Let me give you the exact fucking blueprint. Let me shortcut everything, because I've made all the mistakes. I did all the shit. I've learnt all the stuff, not just from myself, but fucking 15 years of training people. I've made all the mistakes under the sun. And then I've learnt from people who've made even more mistakes. And I've figured out the blueprint. So don't go through making the mistakes. Don't waste your time doing the shit that is going to be ineffective or doesn't work or only somewhat works. Because oftentimes I actually find they're the most frustrating. That it is working, but not really. You're doing the stuff, but it's only really just giving minor results. If it's not working at all, you go, well, fuck, something's wrong, and you tweak it. But if it's only just kind of working, it leaves you in this limbo of like, should I keep going? Is it worth the effort? Is it worth doing enough of this? Those kinds of questions. But the simple answer is pay for an accelerator. Pay for something that's going to take you past all the fucking rookie mistakes. While you're in the beginning phase, while you're in the newbie gains, while you're going to maximize your results, pay for the accelerator. Jump into a program. Let me bypass all of it. Because there are no shortcuts, but I can make your massive results come faster. As I said, one of my guys lost 20 kilos in 6 weeks. On average, guys lose between about 7 and 14 kilos in the 6 weeks. There are massive fucking results to be made here. If you're willing to show up with intensity, you're willing to do the work and do what's fucking required. So this is the answer. This is what we must do. And it just makes sense. So many of the bigger jumps I've had in my life have come from getting someone to walk me through the answer. Because, yeah, on a fundamental level, we know the answers. We know the basics. But instead of wasting time on shit that's not really going to matter, let's jump you ahead to the stuff that's going to make a difference. So if you are ready for that, if you're ready to jump ahead, if you're really ready to accelerate your results, if you're ready to finally see everything that you want and then some, click the link in my bio. Let's get you into chasing greatness and let's see who you can become on the other side of that. I can't wait to see you there.